Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 7 p.m. and time to begin our planning commission for this month. Our first item will be the invocation given by Commissioner Smeisterla, and the next will be the flag salute led by Commissioner Davis. Please stand.
Help us to give you the right decisions to make our community better and to keep it safe. Thank you for all that you do for us. Please be with our servicemen across the seas and also here in our own country. And we thank you for all that you do for us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Let's pray. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just to throw people.
That would be me.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Beaver,
Here.
Commissioner Smystrala,
Here.
Commissioner Davis,
Here.
Vice Chairman Doggett,
Here.
Chairman Taylor.
Here. First item is approval of the minutes of the September 9th meeting. Do we have any corrections or addition, or have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any discussion from the commissioners? Call the roll, please.
Chairman Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Doggett,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Smystrala,
Yes.
Commissioner Beaver.
Yes.
Item 2 is the visitor section. If there's anyone here that would like to address the committee about something that's not an agenda item, seeing none, we will proceed. Item 3 is a consideration for a request by Crafton Toll on behalf of John Nail 3N Development, LLC, for the 605.77 City of Yukon ordinance. A proposed deviation from the PUD is a significant departure therefrom. There shall be a reopened PUD filed for a 602.31C City of Yukon ordinance area and height regulations for R1 single-family districts, maximum lot coverage of 35%. To allow a lot coverage of 45%, a tract of land being being a part of Lot 1 and Block 20 of the Stone Mill Phase 4. Yes, sir.
I'd like to start out with John Nail, and then Crafton and Toll will come up. In this plat, do you have a plat in front of you?
No.
You don't have the plat? Okay.
It would have been helpful if we'd had one of those.
Mr. Chairman, actually you do have a plat. It's overlaid over an aerial to give you a reference to the other sections of the subdivision to allow you to know where it's adjacent to.
Well, we'd like to have seen the lots.
The lots are shown on there. It doesn't show specific lot numbers, block numbers, but it shows the lot numbers in the aerial that's been provided for you.
Anyway, we've got some lots on the west side of the water that are large lots, huge lots, matter of fact, way oversized. And then I have some lots in those cul-de-sacs where the radius is that the lots are a little smaller than normal. If you'll look in that first cul-de-sac,
Would this be Golden Creek or Beckman Court?
Beckman.
Beckman.
If you look at lot 6, for instance, how huge it is, and then 5 is so much smaller. Well, 6 is way oversized, and 5 just a little bit smaller than ordinary. And what I'm asking, I have some lots like that in the addition, like 5, that I need to have a little more coverage on to be able to build a nicer house. In other words, I have some lots that are huge that I'm not covering near what I could cover, and then I've got some lots that are a little smaller, that what I'm asking for is on those smaller type lots to be able to put a little more house on them that the city usually requires. And so, for instance, on 6, when I build a house there, we'll be having a lot of land around it that we won't be building on, and whereas 5, I need to build on just a little bit more property than ordinary. And that's what I have in the addition. What I'm asking for is just the ability on those smaller lots to build a little bigger house. And it's not going to affect the look or the neighbors. It'll just be a little bigger house in the neighborhood. I mean, I have the most to lose with this thing, and so I wouldn't want to do anything that would cause it to be a distraction from the normal look of the neighborhood. So what I'd like to do now is ask Crafton and Toll just to come up and speak to your questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
Jason Spencer with Crafton Toll and Associates. I think Mr. Nail covered most of the basics on it. As far as the current portion at hand, then basically to just increase it from the 35% to the 45%, allowing larger houses, and I can answer any questions that you guys may have.
Well, are you going to delineate the lots that you want this on, or that will be just a blanket for all the houses could be 45% of lot?
Right now, we're just trying to amend the PUD and allow the 45% on any of the lots.
How mu-
You know, I mean, I don't think it's gonna come to an issue on a lot of the larger lots where, I mean, you look at the square footage of those lots, I mean, you're gonna get into a really large house with you fill up to 45% of those lots.
So the 45% will be based on the lot coverage, I mean, the size of the lot
Yes,
that we're talking about.
yes, right now, the PUD allows for 35% of the lot to be, you know, covered with the building. We're gonna increase that to 45%.
How many of the lots do you think will they all be 45%?
I think if you look at that plat, and you can see some of the smaller ones that are along Stone Mill Court, you'll see that they have a little bit shorter, you know, lot lines on them than some of the other lots there, and then also the ones around the cul-de-sac. That's going to be the ones that it's going to come to play on. So I think you're looking. Probably 10 to 12. What about the ones on 30 South? Okay.
Questions?
Is there a possibility of an issue coming up where a house is too close to a utility? I see some notes in here where that possibility was brought up.
I know on the, which I guess is the next item, would be the rear yard setback. You know, we're proposing to change that from the 20% of the lot depth to basically 15 feet. There's a few of the lots that do have, you know, utilities running in the back, would have sewer and stuff, but those have easements on them. We would, you know, abide by those easements and not build onto the easements.
I see a recommendation here that if we go ahead and do this, that the construction be limited to no closer to the easement than 5 feet or 5 feet. That a structure would be at least 5 feet from the easement.
Well, that, and unfortunately, that kind of goes against what Mr. Nail and what we're trying to do here today. You know, we're trying to have enough space to build bigger houses in some of these shorter lots. There's a few of the lots that have 15-foot easements in the rear of the yard for sewer line and that kind of stuff. And I mean, so this would give us the ability to build up to it, but staying at 5 feet off is. Sure.
Yeah, if you guys will, if you all will look at the east side of the pond there, those lots have an easement behind them next to the water, but there's nothing in that easement. In other words, the sewer and the water and the gas is all in the front of those lots. The lots across the water are the shorter lots, and there's an easement back there, but there's nothing in that easement.
I'm sorry, John, where are you
I'm on,
What block are you on?
what block is that? I can't. Block 18. Block
Stone Mill
18.
Court.
Stone Mill Court, Block 18 on the west side.
Block 18, so where it shows easement, there's really no utilities.
Right, where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, those 6 lots right there that abut the water. There shows a 15-foot easement right there, but there's nothing in that easement. Yukon requires to have an easement behind the lots, and that's why it's there. And so all the utilities are on the front of the lot because of the pond. So what we would like to do is build right up to that easement because there's nothing in that easement right there.
Well, can we not delineate the specific lots that you wanna do that on?
Yeah, I guess we could if that's what you guys want to do. What are your concerns, I mean, on the 45%? What are your concerns on upping the coverage?
Well, I was just concerned about the houses that are already there, that if they only have if their neighbor's only 15 feet on the other side of their fence and the back of the house is there, that's a pretty small backyard.
Yeah, I understand that, yes. But again, I'm not gonna do anything that would affect the neighborhood because, again, I had the most to lose there.
Right.
There's 55 lots in there and I still own 45, and so I'm not gonna do anything that's going to dramatically affect the neighbor or my addition. It's just on these, and I hate to just pinpoint, if I have to, you know, whatever you guys say, I'll do, but I hate to just pinpoint some lots in case something else comes up, a lot that I wasn't thinking of. But I'm just simply asking to be able to, and again, if I did that if I did that in a situation I shouldn't do it in, I'm gonna have trouble selling lots around it. So I'm only gonna do it in situations that requires it and it would look right on. I think I've proven.
Yeah, you've always been good to the city of Yukon.
I think I've proven in the past that I'm gonna do the right thing. And I don't think Mitchell.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, let's talk about the lot coverage first. We had an issue with one house that went to the Board of Adjustments. We knew that we're gonna have some issues with some other houses. So we have asked Mr. Nell to come here tonight and ask to amend the PUD to do that instead of coming back every time for, variances on each one of those lots that may be affected. We also had them look to make sure that the increase of lot coverage, that they have compensated for that for the stormwater runoff. And it's my understanding, with talking to Phil, that we've over-designed these ponds anyway, so it will take care of any excess impervious surfaces being added to these lots. We have talked to him basically which lots that he had concerns with, but the problem become it was just easier to ask for the whole subdivision instead of asking for a certain number of lots, because if you look across the Storm Mill Court, quite a few of them, there would be lot coverage issues if we didn't go ahead and have them ask for that, or could be, depending on the layout of the house, but with the layout of the land too as well, will dictate the design of those homes.
And again, I'm just asking for that so I can take the best advantage of my addition and my lots for what people want. And I think Mitchell will vouch for our goal to do what's right and what's best for everybody.
These lots that's gonna back up to your shopping area there, what kind of a buffer are you gonna have?
It's gonna be an 8-foot fence, and then on the other side, it's gonna be some trees. So yeah, that's, I have the most to lose there too. I gotta make a buffer there and make that nice, or I won't sell those lots. So yes, I'm gonna, once we get the commercial going, I gotta put a fence in there, but I gotta get the dirt all corrected at the same time. So yes, there's gonna be a nice buffer there and a fence, and or I won't be able to sell the lot. So
Right.
yes, sir.
And those lots, are they your normal size lots, those that
Yes.
go back along there?
Yeah,
So-
those are good size. Yeah, those are pretty good sized lots right there.
So if someone came to wanting a lot there and they wanted to build a house that was wanted to cover 45% of that lot, would you go ahead and do it?
Well, it just depends. I don't think I want to have the issue there because those are bigger lots. You know, those are bigger lots.
So you think the houses basically will be closely in size in this addition? I
Mhm.
mean, within, you know, within reason.
Yeah, and again, I'm the architectural committee of one. And I'm, like I said, my goal is that every move is correct and well thought out for the good of the person and the development, so. And if you look at what we've done so far, we've taken that, we've carried that out.
When I first read this, my only thought was the people that are already there already have their homes and their backyards, and someone that's gonna be on the other side of the fence,
Mhm.
they'd practically be able to see in their back window or something.
Yeah, but if you look at, like that second cul-de-sac there, Golden Creek, it's completely built out, and the one lot, number 13, is what we just went through the commission the other day on, that we wanted more coverage there and got it. But most of these lots don't back up to a lot. They back up to either a creek or a pond or the commercial.
Mhm.
And there's some that back up, but we're not gonna do something like that.
John, my only question was, would there be any kind of issue about being able to do maintenance on the utilities? In that one block, there are no utilities in the back, right? But on some blocks there are, I assume. And by the way, would that just be sewer?
Yeah, the few lots that are, they have enough room there to work the utilities.
There's no, Mitchell, I guess you'd be the expert on this. There would be no problem about doing utility maintenance back in there in the future?
On the lots on the rear that you're talking about over on the Stone Mill Court, those utilities are in the front, like he's saying, for the residential lots.
Yeah, so almost all the utilities are on the front, and the few that are on the back, there's a pretty good sized lots there, so.
So we don't see a big problem, potential future
From what we've talked with Mr. John Nail, the issues that we thought we was gonna have concern with were actually across the creek, because the lots on the west side do have the access needed to be able to work on the utilities. Because
Are those utilities in the back on the west side of the creek?
some of them are in between houses and some in front of houses, so it's kind of a mixture.
Yeah, yeah, on the lots on both sides of the pond and the creek, those are all on the front.
Okay.
And for, Mr. Chairman, these side setbacks are not being adjusted. This is just on the rear setback only. So they still have to have the 5 foot from the side property line, or 10 foot between the houses.
Yes, sir.
Well, you've always been a man of your word and done well by your other developments. We would be putting a lot of faith in your judgment calls on this deal if we go ahead and pass it as such, and the council passes it.
Well, I'm gonna do what's right, I'm not gonna do it. And I just have some lots that need a little bit of help there, and it's not to take advantage of any other lot. And you can go look at anything we built, and it's all A+. It's just the few lots that we needed on, and I like the blanket, so I won't have to come back every time and take care of it. And then it's my best interest to do what's right, because I own the lot, so I don't wanna mess anything up.
Mr. Chairman, we did mail out notices within 300-foot radius of these PUD and give notice, as well as everybody that's currently in there, which is John now.
Okay. So you did
We
notify the
did.
other residents?
We did. We required a bonded abstractor list, and we mailed the notifications to the adjoining property owners.
Okay. Any other commissioner have questions for Kraftall or Mr. Nail?
I don't know, it bothers me a little bit that you're increasing the coverage by 28.7%. Decreasing the backyards by 25%.
That, like I said, that's only on the lots, it's mainly on the lots on the creek and the water, but it's not a, I mean, I wanna be prudent about it. I'm not gonna do something that's not right. And again, we own the lots, and if I built a house like that, I'm not gonna sell the next, if I do something that's not correct on one lot, it's gonna affect me. So I'm gonna do the right thing, I just need a little more coverage on those lots. And there's a standard in there, and it's a high standard, and of things, of construction practices. And I'm not gonna do something that would alter the kind of practice that we're carrying on in there. I'm not gonna sell my lots. It's just on those water lots and creek lots and a cul-de-sac lot, which we just got approved last week to have a little extra coverage on. But it's not a, I mean, it's in fact, as Mitchell said, he sent that out, and I've sold about 9 or 10 lots, and did you get anybody that called? In other words, I've closed 9 lots in there to customers, and I had one vaguely mentioned to me what I was doing. They saw it all, and no one made a phone call. And they have trust in what I want to do in there. And then, of course, we own the rest of those, but
Commissioner Davis, we do have some PUDs that are in our city limits that has up to 60% lot coverage that are in gated areas. So this is nothing new other than from the original submittal. And when we talked about it, you know, they thought at the time that the type houses stuff they were going to build were going to fit on those lots. So they had to reevaluate it after we had the one house, and when they really looked at it real close, they knew they was going to have an issue on these lots that are crossed on Stone Mill Court. I think for him to meet the size of house or similar size house in several lots, he almost has to increase the lot coverage, or he won't be able to meet the square footage he needs to meet his covenants and restrictions as well. So, you know, I asked him to step back and his engineer to look and make sure while they're going through this process, when we open this PUD, to make sure that we are addressing everything. So at this time, they've addressed everything that they thought was gonna be an issue and really evaluated the type structures. And that's why they come to us asking for this, to be able to meet the requirements of those lots. And I know it's kind of a blanket deal, but the size of some of these lots is gonna prohibit them from doing 45% lot coverage anyway.
Yeah, there's one lot, I'm sorry, it looks like a stepchild sitting up there, lot 5 off Beckman Court. I don't know who engineered that, but that is a small lot.
But anyway, like Mr. Hort said, there's some PUDs with 60%, so we're not hitting the cap on it. What's the precedent in Yukon? We're not asking for that. But I will assure you this: when you drive in there, what we built to put on 5 will look like it goes there. It'll look. Hey, I want to make 5 look spectacular. Believe it or not, we've done it before. When you drive in there someday, when there's a house sitting on 5, it'll belong there. I can promise you.
And actually, one of the PDs we're talking about is within a block of this, and it's the enclave that Mr. Nell is constructing. So it's actually, there is one in his neighborhood that has up to 60% lot coverage.
And if you drive through the enclave, it's nothing less than spectacular. You drive through there and look at those houses and how they fit and how they look. It's beautiful. I believe it's second to none.
I know your reputation.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Beaver, you have anything? Do we have anybody that'd like to read the motion?
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
In the case of the application for rezoning submitted by Crafton Toll on behalf of 4N Development, we've read the staff report, received testimony at the public hearing, find ourselves in agreement with staff findings, including all plans and attachments cited in the staff report. I move that this item be recommended for approval to the City Council.
Do you want the condition in there? You don't want the condition in there?
Well,
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Hey, we have one question. Is the condition with the 5-foot utility easement on that staff report? We would ask that that be removed.
That was, I did not include
He
it.
didn't
Oh, okay.
include it.
Okay.
And I seconded.
Okay.
Any other comments? Questions? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bieber,
Yes.
Commissioner Smystrela,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Doggett,
Yes.
Chairman Taylor.
Yes. Item 4 is consideration for a request by Craft and Tull on behalf of John Nail 3N Development LLC for the 605.77 City of Yukon ordinance. A proposed deviation from the PUD is a significant departure therefrom. There shall be a reopened PUD filed for a 602.31G minimum rear yard setback of 20% of the lot. To allow rear lot setbacks of 15 feet, a tract of land being a part of Lot 1 in Block 20 of Stone Mill, Phase 4. This is basically the finishing up of what we've just been discussing. Is there further discussion, or?
Pretty well had that discussion.
We've pretty well beat it to death. Someone care to read this draft motion?
I can. I'll
Okay.
read it. I'd like to make a motion. In the case of the application for rezoning submitted by Crafton Toll on behalf of 4N Development, we have read the staff report and received testimony at the public hearing. We find ourselves in agreement with staff findings, including all plans and attachments cited in the staff report. I move that this item be recommended for approval to the City Council.
Point of order, has the condition been removed?
It never was passed on the first one.
Well,
She
just
did-
making sure we have that clarified in the minutes.
The first one did not include it, and Ms. Maestrala's motion did not include it this time. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second is the draft motion, and there's no conditions added on to that motion. Is there any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Chairman Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Doggett,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Smystrela,
Yes.
Commissioner Bieber.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Nail, you got to just get it by the council now.
I appreciate your time.
Thanks a
I
lot.
know you got things to do. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Any new business to come before the commission this evening?
Mr. Chairman, we have no new business.
Okay. Open discussion. Does staff have anything? Cindy? I guess your company had looked at this PUD, so forth, that he was asking about.
Yes.
Mr. Attorney,
Nothing for me, thank you.
anything else? Commissioner?
Just want to thank the vice chairman for showing up to the council the other night. It was very appreciated, the report, and thank you very much.
Sure, you bet.
You
very
want a report
informative
of
for
what
the
they
council.
asked about and what was said?
Went well. Mr. Beaver had my back.
I appreciate you doing that for me. I was in Tulsa, a city boy at a ag barn, which was a real interesting experience for me. If there's no further open discussion, anyone? Our next meeting is November the 18th. This meeting's adjourned.